Coach Solo tonight, huge performance down low. I mean, you talked about on Monday what he brings and how smart he is. What'd you see from him tonight?
I would say it's his best conference game since he's lived here, statistically for sure. I think he does a lot of things for us every game that the stats don't always show. And the first thing would be how fast twitch he is, particularly on the weak side. He covers up a lot of problems, partly with his athleticism, partly with his IQ. He's getting to where he communicates at a decibel level that's helping all of us. And so when he plays like that, I understand he did a lot of good things offensively that we're not always dependent on. But I think a lot of what transpired in the second half relative to our defensive effort, a lot of it is him. It's not just him, but he sure does cover up a lot. And he plays with great emotion. And at times, sometimes he plays emotionally. And I think he's had great growth this year in trying to balance the two. And I thought tonight, actually, he probably was his best in that regard.
Buzz, you've coached a lot of games. Have you ever seen one flip as completely as this one did from one half to the next?
It's almost 600 games. I can't remember exactly, but it's approaching 600. Maybe, but I can't remember. I knew I thought as poor as we played on both sides of the ball in the first half, I did think the last minute and a half was an inkling of how we were going to have to play in the second half. I thought 10 turnovers is way too much, but it led, I know, to 8 points in transition off those live ball turnovers. I think that only 2 turnovers and 12 assists in the second half not only helps us offensively, it also helps our defense. But when our defense is able to help our offense, which is probably where we're more reliant, a lot of good things happen. But from an analytical standpoint, I don't know that we've had a half like that in a conference game in a long time.
And you have a guy like Andy who can basically run the point as a
Yeah.
forward. What does that bring to the offense totally? And then also how much of that opens up some of those offensive rebounding because of how much they hone in on him?
Yeah, so I think we were talking about this yesterday. It might have been Olin's question. I can't remember, but really thankful that Four made the shot. Four is fearless, and if we ever have a choice of any offensive box to check, Four wins the box. But somebody has to pass it to Four, and I think categorically everybody in the program that wears a suit or a uniform would choose Andy. And I think that as dominant, I know the one guy that shows up on occasion that asked about the rebounding yesterday, Solo and Andy are similar in that how they impact winning does not necessarily come up in the Van Alstyne stat sheet post-game. And as elite as Andy is as a rebounder, and the Dominican Dennis Rodman, there's also a little bit of he makes plays with the ball as a passer better than he does as a scorer. So he has 6 assists and 2 shots. Like, where do you see that from someone with size that's not a guard? And I think some of those assists tonight were even what I would refer to as a hockey assist. Hey, I'm throwing it to you, Andy, and Andy, you make the next right decision, whether they were in zone or man. And I think that just speaks to the faith that our group has on, if it's not Four doing it or Mo or like who you would think doing it, we prefer Andy to do it. And I think it does free up creases for our guards. And then from a rebounding standpoint, when your forward is making usage rate decisions, it's probably going to help you on the weak side glass. And I thought he was tremendous.
How, I guess, important was it for your bigs to play the way they did, especially in a game when, at one point in the second half, Wade and Zerk had 4 combined points. When you're not getting production from them, the way that your post players were playing.
Yeah, similar to what we talked about yesterday. I think that 14, 10, 6, and 13 are thus far. I know that we still have a lot of games left, but they're probably the best 4 forwards that we have played against. We've played against some other elite level college/future pros, but those 4 in their 11 games have been tremendous. And I really like our 4. And I think that our 4, and we were playing with 3 of them a lot tonight, just like they were. And some of that rotational mix I thought ended up being good for us. A lot of that is because of what Solo and Andy are able to do on the weak side. And then, as you guys know, when Solo and H were hurt, I guess that would have been Oklahoma. So that was 4 games ago now, if you count this as the 4th. I think Henry's ability to go back and forth because we play that position differently defensively, I think he's been like perfect. And I think his ability to do that mentally and physically, and the guards to be able to receive that, is Henry's voice at the 4 or is Henry's voice at the 5? I think that that's been another thing that's probably not in the stat sheet that's been really important.
But you get the feeling that no matter what's going on, if you are playing well at a certain point, that are you now to the point where you just expect that you are going to find a way?
Well, I don't know that the result, Olin, will always be as pretty as the second half was. I will say, not just because of our record, I have incredible faith and belief in our group, whether that's a manager, whether that's the video guy, whether that's the helper person, whether that's Landry. And I think that belief, even though it's hard to touch, it's very noticeable within our group. And I did not think that we were good in the first half, but a credit to our guys, they were saying all the right things as the travesty was unfolding too. And, I think sometimes, hey, Buzz, what'd you say at halftime? Well, I said the same things I say to you guys. The key, though, is they receive it. Like, they knew the plan. They knew they were playing awful on both sides, and they receive it. And some of that, to be honest, transpired at halftime in Columbia, Missouri. 4 got after me at halftime. We're up 8. I thought we were playing pretty good. And he popped me pretty good in front of everybody. And I said, I received what you said. And thanks for teaching me. And I apologized. And the same thing was going on tonight, and they received it. And so will we win every game? I hope so. But as a coach for a long period of time, been around a lot of really good players and a lot of really good coaches, and we're thankful to be at this point. But my love, admiration, respect, and trust, I know it's against NCAA rules if they're still in NCAA, but if they all need to come live at my house, then I just won't coach because I care about them that much.
Similar to Tyler's question, Solo mentioned that you guys talked about how maybe y'all weren't being aggressive enough at halftime. Just in the second half, particularly, just what'd you like about the aggression that, especially on the offensive end, just being able to get to the rim when y'all were going against those bigs, and it seemed like they were giving y'all a hard time in those first 20 minutes?
I just didn't think that we were hooked up, so to say, in the first half. I just thought it was kind of blase. They made more threes in the first half than they average in SEC play. And there's a lot of terminology that we give to contest, but it was just like, okay. And you can't play like that. Our guys know that. Y'all know that. You can't play like that. It doesn't matter what Georgia's record is. It doesn't matter what anybody's record is. It's the statistically, historically, the best league ever. And it requires your best. And we did not give our best mentally, physically, or emotionally. And I thought that a lot of what we do from an aggressive standpoint is still relatively fundamentally sound, in my opinion. But the aggressiveness is more the emotional engagement. And that, even though that's not a data point, that emotional engagement, it correlates into all of this stuff. And we were just, yuck. Like, hey, man, what are we doing? It's not June, shirts and skins. And I thought in the second half, we looked like us and we played like us, but emotionally we were us.
It was 14 minutes almost that they went without making a shot.
And it started in the first half. Somebody told me as I was walking to do radio.
Yeah.
107 to,
Yeah, but we needed the 107
yeah,
because you don't know what's coming after the break when you're down 8,
right.
down 9.
Yeah. So what about that stretch defensively, it kind of impressed you the most?
So, obviously I've known Devin since he was in college, and he's family too. And so he's very respectful to me and always has been. And so at about, when did they score their first basket?
7:20.
Yeah, so Devin is very respectful, and he's kind of witty when he wants to be. And so when they scored their first basket, he was like, hey, coach. And I'm kicking cans up there where I normally am. And I turn around and I go, what? He goes, that was their first basket. I go, yeah, I don't want them to score again, though. Like, see how long we can do it again. And I think we did it how many did they score total?
4.
They didn't make another basket till 3:31.
And then when they made the second one, I go, how long was that?
When you talk about the emotional engagement, Solo mentioned that a little bit of chirping kind of got him going.
Of course.
When you see that, is that
It's from the 9th Ward.
when you see that happening, what is your take as a
I spend more time. I probably talk to So as much as I talk to 4. Not in a game, but during a game, but like when we're not working. As you've heard me say even yesterday, if he took the Mensa test, he would be certified. But I still, I got on him again tonight. When he wants to chirp to me, not to the Missouri fans, not to the opposing team or bench or official, with body language that's not appropriate. Just say it to me. You can say anything to me. It's just me and you. But he is an emotional being, but that's also part of his story. That's also part of where he's from. That's also part of all of the things that he has overcome to get to this point. And that edge that he competes with is razor sharp. And that's not just when people are in the gym. Like that's every day. And if we're in any sort of competitive environment, that enrages him in such a positive way. But when you get to this level with these stakes, and he's so important to us, we can't have his emotion be a distraction to something that we can't control. Give the emotion to what we can control. And when he does that, but he's the wrong guy to say something to. You know what I mean? And that, I'm not being negative or judging whatever transpired. I'm saying, like, I say crazy things to him on purpose so he can get to where he can handle that. But man, when you say something that is not of his belief, that's why I'm glad he's on our team.
Hey Buzz, how nice is it for you to have a win where you didn't have to sweat out your 1 or 2 possession game for a change.
Yeah, and I think that was one of the things, that's why I'm a little delayed. That was one of the things that I talked about Olin post-game is we have to be really careful in having wisdom that regardless of what may be online or maybe the chatter in the streets, we know how hard this is. And obviously 11 1 or 2 possession games, we can't arrive thinking, okay, good, this one's not going to be a tractor pull. Because then you are not engaged emotionally to compete to be your best. And I don't think we can count on, let's be down 9 and then have a superlative defensive effort in the second half and it'll be okay. We can't do that again. That will clip us. And I think some of that was going on with the head coach more than anybody else, and I should take the blame. And I tried my best before the game to say the things that I thought mattered, and I thought we were just okay, and we're not good enough, talented enough. We don't have a good enough coaching staff that we can just be okay and overcome games of that after 100 minutes in this league. So we'll learn from it and hopefully try to do better.
Similar to that, Coach,
Did you get a haircut or did you just wear a hat yesterday?
Yeah. But similar to that, in that same vein, you guys have obviously shown that you can be tough. You guys are gritty. You know, you find ways to win when it's unconventional. But how good can this team be if you put a full 40 minutes together? Have you even seen that yet this year?
We talk about it sometimes as a staff. We spend an inordinate amount of time trying to address, anticipate potential dilemmas before they become current problems. Like, I think our staff does a fabulous job of that. And our team, to their credit, we're constantly trying to find this unspoken tension of where we can improve. To Olin's question, hey, if you've played in 11 1 or 2 possession games, how many specials do you need to be prepared for? I called the timeout. Not to be disrespectful, I did think that we were probably going to win the game. It's 4.8 seconds left, out of bounds under. It's an opportunity for us in a draw up to execute a special. The toughness, whatever all of those words would be, our toughness, our grit, our connectivity, all of those things are prerequisites relative to how we play. And we have to continue to be prepared, including Saturday morning at 11 o'clock, for being able to not only understand the plan, but to be able to execute it. And so I have great confidence in who we are and how we're going about it. And it's just the endurance required to do it day after day after day.
What does it mean to you?
Hey, man.
Are you? What does it mean?
You never been in here?
I've once. Houston Christian.
Well, where you been since then? That's a long time ago.
I got a promotion. I've been having to manage everybody else.
He's a sports editor.
Oh, okay. So now you're the head coach and you can't do assistant coach things?
I try. I don't control sports assignments. I've been trying to get out here. I'm trying to get a few more. We'll see.
Ian, you're not working at 8 o'clock at night for whoever it is. You can show up on your own.
Well, I've been here on my own.
Well, then come in here. I'll let you in. AC will let you in. Brad will let you in. Now what's your response?
And now I'm going to ask my question.
Okay. Typical media guy, Travis.
What does it mean to you to be able to put together a defensive performance like this at this point in the year, knowing what's coming?
Yeah, I do not go ahead very far. We'll start early in the morning because I won't sleep tonight. I'm meeting with TJ after I get off the treadmill. But what I would say is once all of this is over and Paul and Nani are on their way, they have my phone because I don't know how to do it very well. But I'll go to Ken Palm and I can just click it and it'll pull up our page. I'm interested to see if these analytics push us above 6. I think our defensive rebounding percentage is going to hinder us a little bit, but some of those other numbers, it's just hard to get above who's above us. So maybe. I'm anxious to see. What does it say?
At 6 with the at 6.
All right, that's a wrap.